This morning I'm going to begin by reading in dialect a passage from Alice Walker's The Color Purple. In this passage it is the main character, the protagonist, Celie, who is relating a conversation she had with Shug. Here's the thing, say Shug, the thing I believe. God is inside you and inside everybody else. You come into this world with God, but only them that search for it inside find it. And sometimes it just manifests itself, even if you not looking or don't know what you're looking for. Trouble do it for most folks, I think. Sorrow, Lord, feeling like, It, I asked. Yeah, it. God ain't a he or a she, but a it. But what do it look like? I asked. Don't look like nothing, she say. It ain't a picture show. It ain't something you can look at apart from anything else, including yourself. I believe God is everything, say Shug. Everything that is or ever was or ever will be. And when you can feel that and be happy you feel that, you found it. Shug, a beautiful something, let me tell you. She frowned a little, looked back across the yard, leaned back in her chair like a big rose, looked like a big rose, she does. She say, my first step from the old white man was trees, then air, then birds, then other people. But one day when I was sitting quiet and feeling like a motherless child, which I was, it come to me. That feeling of being part of everything, not separate at all. I knew that if I cut a tree, my arm would bleed. And I laughed and I cried and I run all around the house. I knew just what it was. In fact, when it happens, you can't miss it. It's sort of like, you know what, she say, grinning and rubbing high up on my thigh. Shug, I say. Oh, she say, God love all them feelings. That's some of the best stuff God did. And when you know God loves them, you enjoys them a whole lot more. You can just relax, go with everything that's going on, and praise God by liking what you like. God don't think it dirty? I asked. No, she says, God made it. Listen, God love everything you love and a mess of stuff you don't. But more than anything else, God love admiration. You saying God vain? I asked. No, she say, not vain. Just wanting to share a good thing. I think it pisses God off if you walk by the color purple in a field somewhere and don't notice it. I must tell you, there is so much groundbreaking theology in that passage, I can hardly stand it. God is inside us. God is not the old white man. God is found in our struggles. God is not male or female. God is in nature. God is in sexuality. We are related to God and nature. If I cut a tree, my arm would bleed. God is in the color purple somewhere. That passage from the color purple is about God. And for our atheists, it is not a leap at all to see that passage as being about the divine or the holy or the sacred. A number of years ago, I was reflecting on the music that we use in our Sunday services. As I had learned, there is a body of music called sacred music that is traditionally thought of as religious music. And by default, all other music is secular. This idea of narrowly defined sacred music, though, felt very limiting to me. And I concluded that it is only tradition that narrowly circumscribes sacred music. And what is more, I decided that music that touches the Spirit that we have heard this morning, this is sacred music. This struggle between the sacred and the secular is representative of what I have come to think of as false dualisms, not just in religion, but in life in general. In religion, there is God and the devil, there is good and evil, heaven and hell, body and spirit. These, as taught in Orthodox religion, are supposed to be separate and distinct. And yet I've come to believe, as the Hindus have taught us, that everything comes from one source. Conceptually, these points in the extremes may be helpful pedagogically, or things to aspire to, or things to avoid. But I don't believe they exist in the absolutes. I've come to see life as a set of continuums, not absolutes. At least in religion, this dualism between the sacred and the secular is meant to set something apart. It might be a place, it might be a text, it might be a religious figure. I don't mind lifting up certain ideas or figures or texts that I find particularly compelling. Where I draw the line, though, is when lifting up certain ideas means that other ideas are put down. This is sadly true in much of religion. One religion is true and all other religions are false. One religious text is sacred and therefore all the other are profane. One group is saved and all others are condemned. As Unitarian Universalists, we don't give special status to one religion or one text or one person, but believe that every religion, every text, every teacher has something to offer us. And so I began shifting my thinking about what is sacred. Two ideas have come to mind. The first is that everything is sacred. Both in the Story for All Ages and in the Peter Mayer song that Jason sang this morning, we hear the idea that everything is special or holy or sacred. What I appreciate about this idea is that it does not allow us to desecrate the other. We don't disparage other people. We don't desecrate nature. We don't denigrate the religious texts of others. And if I can get a little bit political, we don't desecrate the sacred sites of others with oil pipelines. Let me now say this in the affirmative. To see the sacredness in all things brings an awareness to the fullness of life. All people are worthy. All religious texts have something to teach us. All of nature is deserving of our respect. When I say brings awareness to the fullness of life, I mean the thoughtful, reflective search for meaning in life that we might otherwise take for granted. To me, this is a precious, precious idea. To look for the meaning, the sacredness behind our daily existence, our daily struggles that may appear mundane, but yet are the grist for the meaning-making that defines the human endeavor. While I say all of this, I can hear our critics clamoring. If everything is sacred, then nothing is sacred, they might say. And I can hear you asking, Jeff, are cockroaches really sacred? Here then is the second idea. Let me go back to the earlier definition. For something to be sacred, it means that it is set apart. It is somehow different. It seems only natural that some part of life might speak to us more than another. It might be the Beatitudes of Jesus. It might be the Bhagavad Gita. It might be social justice. It might be gardening. It might be the Buddhist Four Noble Truths. It might be compassionate communication. And it might be many or all of these. In other words, while we choose to desecrate nothing, we might be deeply moved by some teaching, some activity. And we might call it sacred because for us it is set apart. For me, Alice Walker's The Color Purple is as deeply spiritual, dare I say, sacred as any text I know. It offers us insight into life, the good and the bad, in a deeply profound way. And for many, this same life-inspiring, sacred quality can be found in poetry, in scientific discoveries, in social outreach, in art and music that celebrates life and brings us into a deeper relationship with life itself. What I am about to say, I cannot say strongly enough. While we may find something of special significance, this does not mean we disparage another person's truth. For me, the beauty of religious community, what we do here at Emerson, is that we bring our unique perspectives, our truths, what we find most sacred. We bring them here. And then when we listen to another, when we hear others' truths, what other people find most sacred, these diverse truths that are reflective of our human diversity, it is then that we gain a sense of even larger truths that are incomprehensible to any one of us, because we are finite human beings with finite human experiences. To me, this is a sacred activity, what we do here on Sundays. We come here with our truths, we listen to other people's truths, and we get a larger sense of the larger truth. This is why we come together. This is part of what we do in religious community. By bringing our separate truths together, we gain a better understanding of the interdependent life we share. This bears repeating. What is sacred may be different in each of us, or for each of us. This is a beautiful testimony to our unique and complex human natures. To take it a step further, what is sacred to us may change over time. As we journey through life, new experiences, new encounters bring new understanding to what we find most sacred in life. This again is unique to the Unitarian Universalist perspective. There is not one text, one religious figure, one belief, one creed that captures the one truth forever and ever. As Unitarian Universalists, we often say it is the journey that is sacred, not one creed. The question I keep returning to is, what makes something sacred? What sets something apart? What is becoming clear to me is that what sets something apart is very much a function of what we bring to it, meaning that we have a role to play in making something sacred. In our chalice lighting this morning, it stated, we bring intention to make this hour we have together special, in making it sacred. This is not an ordinary hour that we spend together. We make it holy by what we do together. We open our hearts to the sharing of joys and sorrows. We come to be inspired by the music, and I hope you were this morning. We open our minds as we engage with the words that are shared throughout the service. We offer our contemplative selves as we sit together in silence. These are activities that make this hour sacred. In the meditation, Black Elk shared how he understood the sacred reality, that the sacred hoop of his people was one of many hoops that make one circle. And he understood that at its center was one source that nurtured the interdependent web of existence. He brought that understanding to us today. Our Sunday service is sacred because we seek out deeper insights into life, just as Black Elk did from the highest mountain peak. Beyond the Sunday service, when I think of those things we consider most sacred, it is those things that touch us most deeply, those things that have a special meaning through connections with life that reveal profound truths to us. For some people, they come to church in search of the sacred. And yet I was deeply moved by the words of Shug in The Color Purple when she claimed that the only God people find in church is the God they bring with them. In the search for God or the divine or the sacred, perhaps the role of the church then is to help people discover that they already have this within themselves. And I need to tell you that I can think of no more meaningful role for the church to help people discover the holiness, the divinity, the sacredness that they have already within themselves. Many people come to our congregation not knowing they have that. What a role for us to play. Finally, some will tell us that sacredness is scarce. I could not disagree more strongly. The sacred is as abundant as we wish to make it. We find it within ourselves, and we find it within all of nature. We create it in relationships, we create it in our search for truth and meaning, and we create it in our social activism. And we create it moment by moment as we choose our words, our thoughts, and our deeds that add to the fullness of life. May it be so.